right, 8.1. This will be 0 and negative exponents. And your goal for today is to simplify expressions with 0 or negative exponents. So we're going to be simplifying. So there's going to be a couple rules that we're going to start with. Eventually you're going to end up with like 10 or 12 different rules. Okay? So there's your goal for today, is to simplify expression with 0 or negative exponents or both. So can somebody tell me what is this number called? Exponents. We know that. Then what is that number called? Base. Thank you. That is your base. So base is the number that you multiply by itself how many times by the exponents, okay? Now, can somebody tell me what is this called altogether?
Second to the third.
No.
Exponent.
Expression.
What's the very last thing you said? Power. This is called a power. Okay, so that's why it's called 2 to the third power. Okay, so holding together is a power. All right, so here's rule number 1, 0 exponents. The rule is this, where A is non-zero number, that means any number but 0, that's what A has to be, because I can't take 0 to the 0 power. Okay, you can never do that. Only thing you could do is take any number other than 0 to the 0 power. Anybody know what that could be? Any number to the 0 power? Not 0. No, it's not that number, because A to the first power, it's like 2 to the first power is still 2, right? So it can't be that number.
Negative.
Negative? No, it's not negative number.
I don't understand. Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
it takes
So let's prove it. Let's prove it. So we 2 to the third. Let's figure out what it is. 2 to the third says what?
2 times 0.
2 times 2 times 2, which
Oh,
is
8
8,
times
right?
0.
It's 3x.
Okay.
No.
Now let's bring your exponent down. We'll bring it down to 0. So we're going to take it one down at a time. So I'm going to make it 2 squared. So 2 squared, I'm subtracting 1, right?
Yeah.
Subtracting 1 is the same thing as dividing by 2, because one of the 2's will cancel
Bless
out,
you.
right?
Yeah.
So then that gives me 2 times 2, which is
4.
4. So I just divide the previous by 2. Okay? Now I'm going to subtract 1, so I'm going to make it 2 to the first. So if I divide 2, what happens there?
It's just 2.
2's cancel out, it just becomes 2. So same thing as dividing 4 by 2. So using that same pattern, I'm going to take away, right? So 2 to the 0 power. What did we just do? We took the previous and divided by 2, right? What's 2 divided by 2?
0.
2 divided by 2
I heard someone say
is
0.
1. Okay? So any number, so this says any number to the 0 power, your answer is 1. Because what it's saying is, this says 2 to the third power means multiply by itself 3 times, right?
Yeah.
This says take that number and divide by itself. So same thing with if I had 3 to the 0 power. 3 to the 0 power is saying take 3 and divide it by itself, which is 1.
1.
So any number to the 0 power is 1. Okay? So that's one rule. So any question with this rule? Okay, now let's go to the negative exponents. So if I had any number to a negative exponent, let's figure out that rule. Okay? So what's that gonna equal? So I'm gonna use the same thing as this. I'm gonna prove it from this. Alright? Alright, so you know that 2 to the first is 2. And then when I subtracted, I got 2 to the 0 is 1. We figured out it's 1. So you saw the pattern, right? We kept dividing by 2, right? So if I subtract 1, what's 0 minus 1? Negative 1. So 2 to the negative first power is, remember you took the previous and divided by 2, so I'm going to divide 1 by 2. What's 1 divided by 2? A half.
What?
Okay?
1 divided by 2
is a half.
Duh.
What's a half of 1? A half.
Yeah.
I said a half. Right? Okay? Alright? Now let's do it again. If I subtract 1, I get 2 to the negative 2, right? And what's a half of a half?
A quarter.
A quarter, right? So 1/4.
You say what?
I just got 1.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So
What?
half of a half is 1/4. 1/4 is same as 1 over 2 times 2, which is 1 over 2 squared. Right? So let's do one more time. I'm going to subtract 1, so 2 to the negative 3. What's half of a 1/4?
1/8.
1/8. Which is 2 times 2 times 2, which is 1 over 2 to the third.
Wow.
Right? 2 to the third is 8, right?
Yeah.
But it's 1 over. So the rule is this. Negative exponents makes it a fraction. So if you notice, 2 to the third is 8, right? 2 to the negative third is 1/8. It's a fraction. 2 squared is 4. 2 to the negative second power is 1/4. It makes it a fraction. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Will it ever be positive? Or negative, I mean.
If your base is negative, then it will be negative.
Okay. and
The
then
base
also-
determines the value of negative or positive value of the number.
What if? So what if they're both negative? Like what if it's like negative 3 exponent, like negative 3?
It still becomes a fraction.
A
I'll
negative
show you,
fraction
yeah.
would be a negative?
But the value will be negative, well, depending on the exponents too. Yeah.
So why does 2 to the third power equal negative 8, or not negative 8, but then 2 to the negative third power doesn't?
2 to the third power is 8. 2 to the negative third makes it a fraction, so it's 1 over 8.
How does it make it a fraction?
I just told you, negative makes it by, so if I went from 2 to the 0 power, which is 1, so if you follow this pattern, we divide it by 2 every time, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and the reason why I divided by 2 is because the base is 2. Now if it was 3, you divide by 3, depending on the base, because you're just taking one of the exponents away. So to go 2 to the third, 2 to the third is 2 times 2 times 2. To make it 2 to the second, you divide by 2 to get rid of the one of the 2's, and you want to end up with 2 times 2, right?
Yeah.
So the pattern is you divide by 2 every time until you get to the 2 to the 0. So 2 to the 0 is 1, because 2 divided by 2 is 1, right? To go from 2 to the 0 to 2 to the negative 1, you take 1 and you divide by 2.
Wait,
not
can you do
gonna-
3 to the negative or something?
Here, I'll show you what the 3 is.
we can do that.
Yeah, let's do it with the 3.
So we're not trying to solve it, but we're trying to simplify it so
What the negative exponent means, that's what we're trying to figure out. So here we go, ready? I'm going to start with 2 to the second power. That's 3 times 3, right? Which is 9. So then I want to make it to 3 to the first. So that means you got to take one of the 3's away. So I'm going to divide by 3. Divide by 3. So which gives me 3, because that's what 3 to the first is. 3, right? Okay, now I want to make it a 0. So 3 to the 0 power, I take 1 away, so I got to divide by 3. What's 3 divided by 3? 1. That's why anything to the 0 power is 1. So now, I want to take away again. I'm going to make it 3 to the negative first. So I'm going to divide that by 3. So 3 to the negative first is 1/3.
Yeah.
Okay? And then, if I'm taking it again,
1/6.
3 to the negative, no, not 1/6, 1/9. It's 1/9, which is 3 squared. 3 squared, right?
Wait.
Can you write 1/9? There doesn't have to be
1 and
Like
3
1
squared.
So I'm going to show you. The rule is this.
I can't
If
do
you
it
have
right now.
a to the negative nth power, if you have a to the negative nth power, make sure that it moves to the bottom. So you draw a line and make it move, so this becomes 1 over a to the positive nth power. So whenever you have a negative, it makes it a fraction. So now it becomes 1 over a to the nth, like 3 to the negative second power is the same as 1 over 3 squared, which is 1/9. Okay? Now, I'm going to give you the other way, though. If I have 1 over with a negative exponent on the bottom like this, now I'm going to move it to the top. Because it moves. Negative exponents make it move and becomes positive exponent. So now this is the same as a to the positive nth power. And I'm going to prove all this here with examples. Okay? So these are the two rules today. Negative exponents, just always remember, it makes it a fraction, or I would say negative exponents makes it move, and it goes to the opposite side of that line. Okay, makes it move and go to the opposite side. Let's start out easy. Here's example number 1. We're going to simplify, and let's do a 3 to the negative second power. We just did it, right? Whenever you see a negative exponent, draw that line and tell yourself, guess what? It's going to move to the bottom. So this becomes 1 over 3 squared, makes it a positive exponent. So move it and lose the negative sign. So it'll be 1 over 9.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah. Okay, now I'm going to make it a little bit, well, let's do another one. Let's do a different one. What is negative 2.4 to the 0 power? 1. Because it doesn't matter what the number is, anything to the 0 power is 1. So that's easy, right? Okay? Any questions so far? Okay. Now let me pick another one. I'm going to simplify. Let's pick 3 times a times b to the negative second. Please stop. Which one has a negative exponent? 3a or b? B. What is the exponent of 3 if there's no exponent?
0.
Not 0. 1. If there's no exponent, exponent's always 1. So this has an exponent of 1. This is the only one with a negative exponent. So whenever you see a negative exponent, draw your line. Circle the one with the negative exponent, and that's the one that moves. Okay? So now, when you rewrite this, 3 and a stays on the top. So 3 times a over b to the positive 2 power. And that's all you do when you simplify.
That's not bad.
Okay? Now let me do this. Let's try this one. What would it be if I had 1 over x to the negative 3rd power?
Are we putting it back into the other form? What are we doing?
So here's a remind, if I ask you to simplify anything, I don't want any negative exponents and I don't want any 0 exponents today. When you're simplifying, you want to make it all positive exponents and no 0 exponents, okay? So now, this is the negative, right? Where should it go? To the top. So we're going to bring it to the top, and this becomes x to the positive 3rd. That's it. Not bad, huh? Okay, last example. Here we go. Example number 3. This time I'm going to have you evaluate. What does evaluate mean? Plug it in, solve, right? But this is the one that I told students to do it a certain way, and they did it their own way, which isn't wrong, but I'm going to tell you right now, it's going to get complicated. So what I want you to do is simplify this first before you evaluate. Okay? Now, which one has a negative exponent?
Y.
The y. So draw your line and circle that and move. So now this becomes 4x squared over y to the third, right? Now plug it in. So 4 times x is 3, so 3 squared over y is negative 2 to the third power. Did I lose anybody? We're good? Okay. Now remember your order of operations, exponents before multiplication. So what's 3 squared? 9. 3 times 3 is 9, so this becomes 9 over, what's negative 2 to the third power? Negative 8. Negative 8. So I got this. What I want you to do is reduce before you multiply. So 4 goes into 4 how many times? 4 goes into 8? Twice. So now my final answer is 9 over negative 2, and that is my answer. That's how you evaluate. So simplify first, please. Simplify first, and then evaluate. Okay? Don't plug it in first and then try to figure it out. Simplify first and then evaluate. Okay? Any questions?
Okay, you would say